welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's time for us to get into the newspapers and check out the front pages and what has been reported on the front pages. So, of course, we've got the two parties helping us with the conversation also here in the studio. I'll be introducing them to you real quick. But let's say a big thank you to Nutri Snacks for making it possible. So, guess what? The only MVP with the production team here on Prime Morning is the one and only Jennifer. Jennifer is the MVP of the Prime Morning team. Now, I say this because yesterday, Jennifer just called me up and said, you know what, Kofi, you need to enjoy Nutri Snacks. So I've got a whole box for you. So this week, she's the MVP. Jennifer is the MVP. No, nobody comes close. Jennifer, thanks so much for Nutri Snacks. Yesterday, I did my ritual. As always, I was running out, but it's good. All right. So I was going to actually bring it and carry it in the studio this morning. I actually forgot. But I mean, obviously, if you have Nutri Snacks, you have everything. All right. You won't go and be crowning kings. But it's all good. We love it. Make sure you go grab yours and enjoy the very best of it. We're excited about it. Nutri Snacks is making it possible for us to have this conversation here on Prime Morning. And so go grab yours and enjoy. Now, we're gonna move on and speak about a few of the issues that have come up. But let me introduce my guests in the studio. In the studio with me this morning, I've got Enoch Anhwere Afoakwah. He's also not new to this place. He's been here a couple of times, and he's from the communications team of the NPP, and he's actually here with us. He's also part of the legal team as well, and he's joining us this morning here on the show. And we also have over here Mettle-Nunoo Jr. He's also coming from the communication team of the NDC, and he's also here with us this morning to help us have the conversation here on Newsflash. Gentlemen, let me welcome you. Good morning. Everything good?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, KMJ. Doing well by His grace.
By His grace?
By His grace.
Is it the same grace?
Yeah, by the grace of God.
It can only be the grace, eh?
It can only
At
be
this
the
point,
grace.
it can only be the grace.
It can only be the grace. It can only be the grace.
No,
because
he's fan of shouting. Yeah, KMJ. That reminds me.
Yes.
He also needs Nutri Snacks. You know his dad, Roger Mettle-Nunoo, went to the EC strong room and complained that he was served tea without biscuits. But so now that we have biscuits
this time around,
now you have biscuits here.
We'll be making preparations.
I guess he takes a box of it.
We'll go with the tea and biscuits. So obviously, we'll go with the Nutri Snacks.
Okay.
Yeah. So this time we'll go prepared.
We'll go prepared.
Yeah. We'll
if they don't give us, we have it already.
If they don't give us, we have it already. Because we need to
and now what happens?
No, so why should you go to the EC and be thinking of getting tea and biscuits?
But he's working. He's serving.
But that's
can't go on an empty stomach.
That's just a diversionary tactics.
With tea and
from the question he asked about whether I'm living by grace. I'm living by grace because if it was left to this government alone, we would all be dead.
Oh, no.
Because if you look at the state of the economy,
your dad said the EC, he was accept. He was
you look at the hardship in the system.
He was welcome.
If it was left to them, we'll be dead. But it's by the grace of God. Today, people are doing information. They're playing 0-0-1.
What's your
formation? We're still on that.
So what's your formation? Look at how you was sweating the studio this morning.
I'm playing 1-0.
You're even lucky this is 0-1-0.
0-1-0. Look at the way he's sweating.
Afternoon.
And look at his structure. You need a dietitian.
He says he wants. I'm stronger than him. I'm stronger than him.
Anyway, we have a lot more other issues to talk about this morning, but we're going to open up with the conversation on the Minister of Education. Now, the Minister of Education has actually, done so much work when it comes to the leakage of examinations. Now, there's this video that I want you to take a look at. When we come, we'll comment on that briefly, and then we'll move on to the substantive issues that we're here to talk about.
One thing that I'm seriously and excited about is the fact that we have put an end to the perennial examination leakages that confronted BECE exams in this country. When the president charged me to find a way to end it, I went to work. We brought about best practices from around the world called serialization. 2 years ago on the BECE, different regions had different questions, even though it's the same level of difficulty. People who used to sell the questions online saw that their market was gone. They pulled down their website. Because some people who bought it were in Accra, but they bought the questions for Ashanti region. Therefore, it didn't show up. Just this past year, every examination center had different set of questions. In the coming examination, within the same examination room, students are going to have different questions. It will be a game changer. When that happens, we have stopped leakages, we have stopped examination malpractices within the room. A week ago, I was in Sierra Leone. All the West African education ministers met. I shared with them the story of Ghana, putting an end to examination leakages, and they were super excited. So we have resolved together that we are going to meet with WAEC to also serialize WASI, to make sure that there will be no leakages on WASI. We remove the incentive for leakages. So if you want to sell and make money, nobody will buy. There will be no market for leak questions. Remember 3 years ago, a certain school whose name I won't mention, students went on demonstration when the leak question didn't show up. Students have begun to think there's a right to have questions leaked. This will be a thing of the past. And my brother, when I'm no longer here, and this perennial problem has been resolved, it's something that I can look back to, and it will make me happy every single. It is this and many other things that we're doing. That's the reason why when I hear all the negative reportage and people trying to smear my reputation, it doesn't bother me because I think and believe that we can create a better Ghana for all. One thing that
all right, so that's the Minister of Education speaking on the issue of examination leakage and also putting down some of the measures that they've actually employed to ensure that that situation is curbed and kept for good. And the part where he says that students actually walk into examination hall and they don't see the leakage that they've learned, they now go on demonstration. But I mean, this should be a good one for the NPP, don't you think?
Yeah, KMG. Let me say a good morning to our cherished viewers and the entire nation as large. In fact, Honorable Edichum is doing very well at the education ministry in terms of the transformations and in terms of the policy driven options that he has brought to bear as far as our educational system is concerned. Our education needs a lot of changes, and at least you can't take just a day to transform the entire educational system of Ghana. And he is doing his bit in terms of the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. He's doing well in that regard in terms of making sure that, yes, standardized examination questions and leakages are a thing of the past. Like you rightly saw him mention, it's one of the things. In fact, everybody who understands education knows that we have what we call the black box theorem. And the black box theorem is part of educational psychology, that when you are teaching a group of students, the inputs are not seen until the outcome, the end results come out. That is where you assess the delivery, the delivery or the work that has gone into the educational system so far. And judging from that, education is not only teaching, infrastructure, the health-wise, everything that culminates within the school community pertains. And in terms of this administration, you know, government has invested massively in our educational system, paying the school fees of students. That's the free senior high school education, which was implemented in 2017, July 2017. A lot more students have benefited, bridging, doing away with the unaccessibility aspect of it, because if you don't have money, you cannot access second cycle education. And not even second cycle education alone. The basic education, second cycle education, the tertiary education have all received some levels of boost as far as investment within the educational system is concerned. And by and large, government is also trying very hard that the danger that has bedeviled the educational system for quite a long time, as far as educational leakage, examination leakages are concerned, trying to put in measures to undo it so that at the end of the day, we can be able to say that, yes, we have invested in the students. The students are prepared adequately to sit for the exams, and let's know what they are capable of bringing on board as far as what they have learned are concerned. And should you go to the examination center thinking that you have had a hint of the exam, the questions that you are going to answer, then it's not examination, because you are already prepared for answers to be given. But that is not the way to go. In fact, if you go to examination room, you are going to be assessed on what you have learned. And out of what you have learned, you should put something on paper to prove to the examiner that, yes, throughout the 4 years, throughout the 3 years, throughout the 6 years, throughout whatever years that you have been in school, This is the final exam that you are writing, and at the end of the day, the results should prove that you really understood the concept that you were taught. You really understood the subject area, the principles, and all that you were taught. Whether you can take it to the world of work or not, whether you can carry on with it as far as higher education is concerned. You know what? Some people do take examination leakage. They take questions before exams. They pass their papers because they already had answers prepared. At the end of the day, they get to the tertiary level, and the courses that they opt for, by and large, they can't even finish their courses because their strength, they only had passes in the exams. They had good results, but as far as mastery is concerned, they don't have the capabilities to carry on with further studies, and it's a shame to all of us. So if the minister and his team, the entire ministry, are putting up a policy that will undo this canker, it will better serve our interests so much. Look at the British educational system. One of the revered educational infrastructures as far as the world education is concerned is the UK educational system. And in Ghana, in Africa, Ghana's education system is one of the icons as far as the Committee of Nations within the African sub-regions are concerned. And people are looking up to us in terms of the transformations and what we do. Look at the number of foreign students in our universities. Even now coming to even our senior high schools, foreign students are coming from from West African sub-region here, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Mali, and the likes, coming to school in Ghana. What did they see? Is the quality. So we must maintain the quality, the standards, and improve upon it. So if the minister is doing all these things to enhance our educational system, I think it is commendable, and we must pat the government of the day at the back and urge the government to do more for us, because it is putting us on the world map. Okay. KMG, education. Wrapping up. Education is the key. Once education is the key, we must not give the key to an unworthy person. At least examination leakage should be a thing of the past, like he has mentioned. And serialization, I believe, is the way to go. Not only that, the examination halls and centers must be fixed with CCTV cameras and the like to monitor students, not to remove the human interface out of it, because even some of these vigilators are compromised along the way. And if you are compromised, they just spy for students to do what they are known doing best. And then they will still back to the same thing, whether it is serialization or not. Once we have gotten that step, we must invest further. If you get to WAEC Heights and the like, you see cameras in the examination room. If you get to Legon, the examination centers have cameras and there. So even if the cameras are not working, because there is camera there, you are scared because you don't know who is watching you, who watches the watchman. And it puts the fear of God in the students to do the right thing at the right time. And it will be better for all of us. So let us commend government in that regard.
Very well. Mettle.
KMG, thank you very much. And let me say a very good morning to our church viewers. And good morning to the good people of Asin North. I was there, and I can see...
you just came from there?
No, I came days back. I could see the momentum of the people to re-elect Honorable Jechi Kwesen. Yeah, so good morning to them. And a good
You had a place to sleep?
Yeah.
I was told about 64 hotels have all been captured by the NPP.
I didn't sleep in any hotel. I was lodged somewhere.
But you didn't hear the issue of 64 or more hotels
my
all captured by
wasn't there.
The NPP.
My luggage was even taken to my place of where I was going to reside. I just went straight onto the grounds. And the momentum, I can tell you that Jechi Kwesen's vote will increase this time around than even the vote he got in the 2020 elections. I could see lots of machinations and propaganda, and they are constructing rules. They are trying to do some kind of development.
They said they started that long ago.
Oh no, when they talk about the fact that we should go and check when the contracts were awarded, even in the year of roads, we could see the number of roads that were captured in the whole Ministry of Finance's budget that were going to construct them, but nothing was done. So if you talk about contracts that have been awarded, 3 years, 4 years back, if you go there, you find contracts that have been awarded. Even under John Mohammed's e-schools that he was building, there have been a lot of them that have been awarded. But we left power, leaving about 123 schools for the NPP. So lots of contracts have been awarded. But the timing where they are executing the contract is because of vote buying. And the people, lots of even NPP people are defecting to the NDC over there. So I'm glad. And hopefully we should be back there.
27 is just around the corner.
He's going to increase his votes. Nothing is stopping him. No rigging, nothing will go on over there. We know our brothers and we know what they are capable of doing. This time, as you mentioned, we'll go prepared with our tea and our Nutri Snacks biscuits.
Yeah. Your dad.
Nobody
needed a box.
will use that as a way to get us distracted or anything. In fact, we'll even add wachi to it. So
James says
we'll add wachi to it because
James says attire
you see, when you're talking about Sky.
Don't help me. I don't need your help. So talking about education.
Yeah.
And then the stoppage of the leakages. You see, as an educationist, I've taught over 17 years from all levels, from the basic level to the junior high level to the senior high school level, remedials, tertiary. So as an educationist, I understand perfectly what happens with these education leakages. And I've always maintained that I think it's our system of education, how we go about our education. Our education in Ghana is mainly theoretical. Even in the aspects of our education, let's say you take ICT, there are aspects of practicals. Even the practicals are still theory. So you find out that in the practicals book, the students are supposed to be drawing mouse, they're supposed to draw the desktop, they're supposed to point. If you want to start a computer, you name the step. That's the practical aspect of it. You take the science aspect, and the students are still doing more of theory. So education has become, in a way, that you need to chew, pour, write your exams,
pass and
get your marks, so that you carry on to the next level. And when it happens like that, this brings the edge for people to go look for, in quotes, apple. It gives the edge for people to go look for the apple. We don't really examine students based on the general understanding of what they are being taught. So if you take, for example, photosynthesis, example at the basic level, and they tell you photosynthesis is when green plants manufacture, blah, blah, blah. The same answer you're supposed to produce. You don't tell the student's understanding, whether he really understands what he's saying. But once the student is able to write that, produce that same answer for you, then it's good. And then we learned, I keep saying this thing, pi r square, Pythagoras theorem and all that. You know, right from senior high school to Regent University to law school and all that, and all my fields of work, I've not done anything with pi r square and fine x and then all those things, you know. So if you look at our system of education, last I was watching on social media and people were saying that Charlie, all these things will learn them. So it gives the edge for people to go and buy questions. And even the schools, because of the grading that we give the schools, especially the private private junior high schools, because their aim is to maximize and make profit. And then, parents look at the assessments of the performance of schools based on the level of number of people who pass the basic education certificate examination. So even the owners of the schools, even some headmasters, go to the extent, the teachers, they go to the extent to go look for questions. I've met several situations where headmasters and proprietors of schools themselves are the ones looking for the questions for the children. And it's a part of their bill that they give to them. There are some special mock levies that
you have to pay and write.
And then they levy them on all those things. Why are they doing that? They are doing that because they want their school to top whatever community they are in so that they get more students. So again, it's about the structure of the education. You go to the secondary school level. Before, it didn't used to be there because most of the secondary schools are government schools. But this time around, you find even government secondary school teachers leading the charge to get the apple for the students because they want their students, because they know the number of people who pass your subject. There are awards and rewards that they give to them. So you find these things happening. They themselves now are leaving their charge. As for the remedial schools, something that is very common over there. I find people traveling away from, they started by using smartwatches. So when they were called, now they're smartwatches. And one time I was teaching in a media school, which I'm not going to mention. I was there, and the owner of the school called me and told me that he needed me on WASI day. They're writing my course. He needed me to come around the center, and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" At the center. He said I should just come around. So when I got to the center, about 2 hours before the paper, and then the questions were given to me to solve them, and then we had to duplicate them, and then to the extent that I was even allowed to enter
the hall.
Yes, the hall, the center.
Wow.
I was even allowed to enter the hall. So when I watched the situation, I was like, I went out to pee, and then I never came back. The owner of the school called me several times, and I think that month, it was close to the end of the month, I was supposed to go for my salary that I've taught for that particular month. I didn't go for it again. So, yes. And then that particular place, when I went to that school, me, teaching has been a talent, and it's been a hobby. So I've been teaching ever since I was 17. I found out that most of the course teachers were not teaching, and I asked them how did they pass their examination. They told me that I shouldn't go. How did they pass the examination? So when they called me, and when the results actually came out, and I saw that, oh, truly, these are the pass examination. And if you look at the number of students that they have, look at the number of parents bringing their students in, because at the end of the day, they need to get the grades and get a good school. That is how our educational system has been built. So even if we decentralize the printing of the examination papers, just like the Honorable Minister of Education, I think it's a good thing that he's doing. Sometimes I don't want us to politicize issues when it comes to education. It's a good thing that he's doing. But then the reasons for the leakages, even when we decentralize, that every region have their own questions and whatever, we need to check some of these things. Now people move all the way from Accra and go to villages because they know that in the villages, you know, their level of exposure is a bit low. So you find out that I had a situation in another secondary school I was teaching, and the headmaster was registering the students all the way to an issue arose when one of the kids went to the parents to go look for money because he had to go and pay it's a hostel far up north, and they were schooling in Accra. The parent didn't understand. The parent came to the school. Unfortunately, I was the first person that the parent met. So when I asked the question, that's when I even got to know, as a teacher in that particular school, what was happening there. And I asked the man, they said, oh, it works. So I think that there was a leakage or an issue there. Then they moved to another village to go and do it. So even if we decentralize and we print it to the regions, and we don't check these things, when to stop examination of practice, the human resource, where do we print our papers is an issue. Where we print our papers is also an issue. And even the leakages, one thing that we are taking our focus off is that there's also another aspect where you can write everything. At the end of the day, the IT room or whatever, they fixing grades from you. So in as much as on policy-wise, and that's the job of the minister, and I think he's doing, well, this is one of the good things he's done. But when you talk about most of the lapses in the education ministry, there are lots, but this is one of the good things he's done. So looking at that aspect, and then policy-wise is good, but you should also look at the human resource, the kind of people that we make become invigilators, because from experience, it's not only from them. Sometimes from the top, everything is okay, but when it gets to the centers, that's where the
major issues.
The issues are when it gets to the centers. The humans, if they don't have integrity, if they are too greedy for money and they want to become rich quick, these are things that are going to happen. Because even when the papers come to the centers, even when you release them, if you're at the centers, sometimes it happens. You can release it there at the center, and still go and photocopy the answers and come and share it to the students over there. And if we don't stop some of these things, it brings the credibility of our WASI down. Today, if you want to travel to this school in the UK, school in the US, they'll tell you no matter whether you have WASI or whatever, you still to go and write the IELTS, you need to still go and write the SAT, TOEFL, etc. Because they don't trust our educational system. They want us to go through their system. So we need to build the credibility, no matter the government that's in power. We need to build the credibility of our educational system so that we get that international recognition. In as much as the minister is focusing on that area, in terms of infrastructure, they should also look at the curriculum, what we are teaching. They should just oppose that to the world of work and see what the world of work is demanding, the kind of labor force they're demanding, and then let's update our curriculum to meet that standard. As for the excesses in the ministry, it's a lot, which I'll not talk about today. I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. But then there's issues, just one of them.
Like, they are doing well. They are doing well. Like, by and large, they are doing well.
Okay.
Like
so,
you mentioned, they are doing. You see, like he mentioned, the word of integrating academics with skill. Look at the TVET system that government is doing, has rolled out. Look at the STEM education, which is putting the skill and talent of students at bay. Just recently, we all witnessed the 3 girls from the Afoakwah Sewam Senior High School.
Okay.
As far as their creativity, with the assistance of their teachers, they manufacture their own flying aeroplane and the likes.
There's a lot of that going on.
Wadara Barracks Basic School, students at the GHS level prepared traffic interceptors, devices that
the issue has always been where it ends at the end of the day. Because
once government has taken keen interest in the creativity of students and building talents and assisting in that regard, certainly we are getting to a stage, notwithstanding whichever government is in power. But I think it's a good thing that we all need to support and help grow that thing.
Yeah.
The creative arts sector, like your sector like this, look at fine KMG, talented in all spheres. At least if the needed push is given, we have a good number of...
Which has not always been the case.
Exactly,
The
but
support has not been...
Yes, now that government is starting something, or has started something, TVET, STEM and the likes, and at least diverting our focus from the grammar type of studies to skill type and the likes. We all need to pack government at the back and push that. We did more of those things. The German system of education, which is skill oriented, is what government is delivering today. And we need to encourage government to do more, because that is what the nation needs.
To add up, you see, when you look at our polytechnics, and you look at the reason behind the building of the polytechnics, we were supposed to do more of these practicals and vocational stuff. Now, you go to polytechnics and they're also doing banking and finance. They're also doing marketing. They're also doing human resource. And then I think that we shouldn't only look at people who are in school, because we have lots of people who have this talent and the skills and engineering background that are not even in school. They naturally have it. So we should find a system of also incorporating those people into the system. Under John Dramani Mahama, we realized that people want to be carpenters, engineers, electricians, because they do not have the requisite certificates. People are not regarding them, or because the society saw people with degrees, with masters, as people who, yes, they have attained some level of education. So, and they were not interested in going to a polytechnic. So they were all converted to technical universities, so that we could even award degrees in those courses. But I feel they've lost or diverted their focus. They shouldn't have nothing to be doing with banking and finance, etc. When we started drilling oil under President Kufuor, when the discovery was made, even under successive governments, Professor Mills, etc., we didn't even have qualified welders. We had to import welders into this country to work over there. Today, if you are building a house today and you want somebody to do good tiling for you, you're obviously going to get them from Togo or Ivory Coast. If you want somebody to do TMJ, you are obviously going to get them from Togo, Ivory Coast, because they say the Ghanaians, we don't have the skill to do that over here. So we should look at those areas. Not only necessarily people who have gone into school. And the issue of vocation and technical education was a major campaign in 2020. You remember, aside those who have gone to school, John Dramani Mahama made a call that even people who are going to be apprentices, he was going to make sure that he was going to pay, you know, you're supposed to pay an amount. He was going to pay for them, and when they finish, he was going to give them the equipment so that they can set up their businesses. So all governments, when it comes to these issues, it can reduce unemployment, it builds our educational system, so we should take politics out of it. They should go and look at the NDC's 2020 People's Manifesto. There are good policies in them.
So we're going to take a look at the front pages of the newspapers, and then we'll have some issues that we need to tackle. But let's say thank you to TV3 for that video of the Minister on Education. Now, let me go through the front pages of the newspapers real quick, and then we'll go into the major issues. Now, on the front page of Daily Guide, it says, pay or take PPA is cruel. Majority says so. And Fisheries Minister cracks whip on illegal fishing and openly appeal judgment July 3. D-Day for Aisha Wang is also captured on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning. And at the back page, some issues on sports. Stars morale very good for the match this weekend. Real grab Bellingham for £88.5 million. And also they did boost for All-Star Festival. So that's the Daily Guide this morning. The Chronicle says crooks thwarting Ghana's investment drive as another worker allegedly steals 251,000 Ghana cedis from employer. And Ghana won't export lithium in its rural states. Never, Jinapo says so. GIS officer falls attempted kidnapping at Amasaman, and that's the Ghana Immigration Service on a good one out there. Remembering Nana Echin, the fifth one-time vice president of Ghana, that's also captured on the front page of the Chronicle. Napo assures constant supply of power, and he's got a tete-a-tete with the president, His Excellency Nana Afoakwah, on the front page of the Chronicle this morning. Let's go to Supreme and says NHIA pays 150 million Ghana cedis monthly in claims to health facilities, and the lights shall continue to stay on. Napo reassures Ghanaians. And we are not vacating the palace until judgment on appeal case. Kwawun Kwatia Adonte says so. Another story over here. Ayawaso West MP rolls out second phase of free driving school initiative for university students. And in team rallies Asen North residents to vote massively for NPP candidates. That's on the front page of the Supreme newspaper. International Day Against Child Labor has also been held. And away from that, we get into Business Finder. Front page says, restructure external debt swiftly. It has serious exchange rate implications. IFS says so. Malcolm support girl child education. That's a good one as well. We wouldn't export green minerals in raw states. And that's Janapo speaking on the issue of export of raw minerals. So that's the Business Finder. So that'll be pretty much the front page of the newspapers that we have today. But let's get into the substantive issues. And we started off with something that has to do with education. So maybe this is very important as well. Now, the Speaker, the Honorable Aban Bagin, has been speaking on the issue of making sure that we skew development to the north. And he believes that in the 18th century, there's been some major development that has happened in the period in south. But of course, if you want to date back into some of these developments in the north, you're going as far back as 1853. And he thinks that it's long time ago. And so government should be, closing the gap when it comes to development by shifting the attention to the north. What do you make of it? From the right?
I think the call from the Speaker is in the right direction. And if you look at successive governments, right from the first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and you look at the agenda that he had for the north, where people living from the northern belt were having access to free secondary education, free education. You see that all governments, even till the last administration, where we have SADA, we've had SADA, they've all had the agenda to be able to bring development to the north, and they put the Northerners in charge. And if you look at both political parties, both NPP and NDC, you have a lot of Northerners who are even leading key positions in government. So when you talk about bringing development to the north, take away the political parties. They themselves, as Northerners who have held key positions in both political parties, what exactly are they doing for the people in the northern region? You go to the northern region and you find out that there are high prospects of having a strong agricultural base for the country. You go to most of the developed worlds, even in the UK, even in the US, and you realize that most of the rich people there are farmers. And you find the strong, energetic youth over there. You find lands that are fertile. There's rice growing there. I don't know what doesn't go. There's shea butter. They are good in livestock rearing and all that. And people are making serious money out of it. People are making serious money. I normally wear smokes, butter curry, and all that. Mine, I always purchase them from the north. You get it? People are making serious money. What exactly are we doing for the North? What exactly are we doing to bridge the gap? That's why I maintain that the issue that has to do with the free SHS. Okay, genuinely, there are people who could pay. There are people who could afford the payment of the free SHS. And if you look at the policy of the free SHS in itself, it's not a brainchild of any of the political parties, be it MPP, be it NDC. It's captured under the directive principles of state policy in our 1992 constitution, that students or citizens should have access to free secondary education. Before the latter part of John Dramani Mahamat's administration, you realize that he implemented a progressive free senior high school education. The NDC, first NDC administration under Chairman Rawlings, implemented the free compulsory universal basic education. And there were challenges that came with it, like people going to school in the morning and then in the afternoon, the shift system. So in implementing the second part of it, we perceived that this was going to be a problem. And to solve that problem, first of all, let's increase the number of secondary schools. Let's increase the number of teachers. Let's scrap the quota system so we get more teachers into the system. And all the projections we made that were going to be possible problems with it, they all came to materialize. We have the red, gold, green system. We have shortage of textbooks in the system when it comes to the basic schools. So if we're really talking about students passing, over 6 years, teachers have been teaching with past questions. Textbooks are not available. The Quality Committee of Parliament, on their inspection, they realized that even at the warehouse, there are lots of the textbooks sitting there that have not gone down to the schools over there. So sometimes it's not from the top. The policy has been made, the books have been procured, but why is it not getting to the grounds? And the time it gets to the grounds, time is of essence. And the time it gets to the grounds, then everything is sport. How can you imagine? Curriculum have been changed, and people do not have textbooks to even teach them. So if you are looking at enough, and the way their system of education is, and the way their system is, and then they have to write the same exams with the people in the south. Because obviously even their MPs, because the legislative body or the legislative house is in the south. Even when they're elected as MPs over there, they are mostly all the time over here. So they build their houses here, they start their businesses here. Nothing much goes up there. So you realize that all the attention obviously comes to the south. We've made conscious efforts as political parties to improve infrastructure and things like that. On NDC, we saw lots of things happening in secondary school. We saw the upgrading of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the Tamale Airport. We saw several roads that were constructed over there. We saw several households that gained access to water, etc. But I think that in terms of skill, the Northern Belt has a high level of vocational skills. And when you go to school, all of us, when we start in class, when you meet a Northerner who is smart, they are smart. At the top, the class, look at even those in parliament from the NDC,
very
look at
intelligent.
When they're talking, I take pen, ABA for saying I take pen and paper. You look at John Dramani Mahama, and if you look at the latest, we'll talk about him. You look at the latest well-known liar in town. Google, you see, like best liar in town or in Ghana.
Who are you referring to?
He's aspiring to become president now. He's aspiring to become president.
I'm not sure the NPP will be excited about that.
Even him. He professes all the good economic policies. When it comes
but it doesn't automatically makes him a liar in it.
But I'm not mentioning his name. I think you know him.
Okay. So wrap up for me.
He professes all the good economic policies. When it comes to economics, when the foundation of your economy is weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And then we need to move from taxation to production. Yet they kept imposing more draconian taxes on the good people of Ghana. They kept draining our blood to the extent that now we are left with skeletons. People are doing 010 formation, 001 formation. Some people do 000 and the next day they do 100. So he has professed all the things. So even his intelligence. So the Northern Belt is a place that we need to look at when it comes to skill development. Now he's Speaker of Parliament, the one who championed the call. And I think that he should lead the charge. No matter the political divide, they have Northerners in a good standing. The current vice president is from the Northern Belt. The aspiring or the next president of Ghana 2025, obviously, is also going to be from the Northern region. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Okay.
Is also from the Northern region. So we need to look at it and then champion the skill development of the Northern Belt.
Okay. Enoch.
Yeah, Kim. You see, my brother was really struggling. The reason being that the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is the presumptive and perpetual flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, hails from the North. What was his contribution towards the people of the North during his reign as vice president, during his reign as president, acting president, and during his reign as president? In fact, if you look at the transition in which our nation has gone through, from the first president, Osai Kwame Nkrumah, who opened up the northern belt, the northern territory of Ghana, and gave them free education, because from the speaker's comment or from the speaker's statement, you realize that he mentioned that as far back as the 1800s, down south, we had professors down south, but the northern territory had their first graduates around 1953, which shows that in terms of generational gaps, as far as development is concerned, academically and the likes, they were short of that. That culminated in Osagyefo's policy of giving them free education to bridge up the gap between the North and the South. KMJ, you can realize that when Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo became president, there was a deliberate action to integrate the North and the South as far as development are concerned, and to open that part of the country for investment opportunities. Judging from the way he created the Savannah region, Northeast region, and the likes, making them a bit closer, dividing them so that government will be closer to the people. They can decide for themselves, and they can determine their destinies and the likes per their own orientation and their own underpinning. You know that government's policy of one district, one factory policy is mostly in target of our raw materials. And when you get to the northern part of our country, most of these communities are having the one district, one factory project, because the raw materials are from that side. You can talk people who are into shea butter production and the likes. I don't have the list here to be mentioning, but you as a journalist can cross check. So there have been projects. Oh, there have been projects
that actually speaks to some of these issues.
Yes, there have been projects.
Any of them that we can mention?
Oh, yes.
One or two that we can mention.
Yeah, before I conclude, I'll just finish you with some of these projects and the like for you to know. You remember government cut a sword for the construction of the Pualugu multi-purpose dam, which hitherto will serve as an irrigation dam, generate electricity. It was multi-purpose up there. And it would have served as the biggest investment since the creation of our country, Ghana, up north.
But that's another thing really has been heard about.
Oh, yes. Not to say
there's
nothing.
Difference between cutting the sword and implementing or executing.
Because there have been feasibility studies and a lot of work done. Probably the challenge is the financing, the funding arrangements.
The funding has always been the issue, but if you're bent on making sure that
it has not really been the issue. You remember the crisis that bedeviled the entire world. Talk of the COVID-19 pandemic that ravaged a whole lot of things, and look at the inflation rates around the world.
As for I'm not cutting it, but as for the issue of funding, whether even COVID-19 or Russia war, successive governments have always had issues with funding.
No, you see,
and that's a general.
No, you see, the prospect
they
of that
will cut the sword. The execution of the project now becomes a problem, and when you ask, it will be funding. But if you're cutting a sword and you intend to make sure that whatever it is you want to do is materialized, the funding should not be an excuse at the end of the day.
No, it was not largely government of Ghana financing project. You see, it was not largely a GOG funded project. And once it was a GOG funded project, certainly we have money from our consolidated funds sitting somewhere that we have used to finance business. And you are targeting investor community to release funding in lieu of that project. And once there are pandemics and there are external factors and the like, obviously it will affect the funding gaps and the running of that project. That has slowed the pace of that project. And notwithstanding that,
it's a very fine project, very fantastic project.
Government have not relented on its effort of making sure that project is executed. Once it is on the drawing board, once visibility studies and the likes have been done, and it will serve our country very well, because we need the generational mix to add up to our energy mix. We need the dam to also serve as irrigation, because most of our food and most of our raw materials come from up north. Because they are largely an agrarian economy. And once they are largely an agrarian economy, you need to provide the infrastructure and the basis for them to thrive. All these factors are there. You remember this Asuntaba and the like, Jida scandals and the like during President Mohammed's time as president, where millions of dollars were sunk into reforestation projects up north to improve the vegetation cover of the Savannah region and the likes, what ended up? It ended in tears. Northerners tasked to manage the affairs and integrate the North as far as poverty and the likes. And all these were poverty eradication projects. Although we were improving the climate cover and the likes. But obviously, once people are working with this, there are financing issues. And once people are paid, automatically it erases their levels of incomes and their livelihoods and improves upon their livelihoods. But under President Mahama, all those monies were thrown into the dust and nothing better came out of it.
Yeah, that is why you've been replaced.
Absolutely. And now that President Akufo-Addo brought the Northern Development Authority, significant projects and the lights are going up north. But notwithstanding, please. Please, when you were talking, I was just quiet. Now that the Speaker of Parliament, who is the third on the row as far as the governance of our country is concerned, has mentioned that there should be a deliberate action. He feels that yes, this government is doing something significant, and we must also commend government and ask for more, because Oliver Twist asks for more. My brother, it will serve all of us our interest, because look at the people that the rural migration. Look at our compatriots who are engaging in Kaya and the lights up north on our various streets and the lights. The place they sleep, they don't have good accommodation, their health and all those things. If the systems pertaining up north are good, I believe they will prefer to have stayed up north.
Of course, the
incentive to come down here wouldn't be there, because they have a good opportunity of making resources or making money up north. Agriculture, industries or manufacturing and the likes. And thankfully, one government has integrated this policy of the import substitution-led industrialization, which is promoting a lot more of this one nation, one factory project. Certainly, obviously, it is.
Unfortunately, the successive governments have disappointed them, and I'm sure that is the reason why. But you have less than two years.
It is John Dramani Mahama.
2 years to make this happen.
He can't.
How do you intend to solve most of these issues? I mean, coming from the speaker is a big deal.
Government is on course. That is why government. During the reign of...
You don't have much time.
It's on course. What have they done?
It is on course.
Mention what they've done.
Northern Development Authority is on course. Are you not aware of the project Northern Development Authority is doing?
Mention what you've done.
Haven't I mentioned even the Afoakwah multipurpose dam?
That's all.
Haven't I mentioned the one nation, one factory policies which are dotted around the country?
In which districts and which districts?
Oh please, you are
mention them. Don't just throw the dust into the.
They are listening to us.
I'll have my take.
They are listening to us. They are watching us. They know. Or the beneficiaries know what they are getting.
You can't throw dust into the. Mention the names.
We had a president from the north, from the Gunja land. What did he do for his compatriots up north?
I'll tell you.
What did he do for his compatriots up north? At least under His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as Vice President, the Afoakwah multipurpose dam, there's been some semblance of work with regards to this massive investment project up north.
Mediocrity.
The second phase of the Tamale Airport project is ongoing. Now the airport is a fully fledged international airport.
By the NDC?
Oh, started. But it was not completed. Phase one. Once you start phase one, just go and look at the phase two and the lights and what the integration that government has put in. What government has been able to design, the designs and everything so far. Were you not here when they commissioned Kumasi International Airport with that old edifice standing there as an international airport, without even aeronautic lights on the runways? You see, these people, Obeka said, he
hasn't mentioned any project of the NPP up north.
They are
so far.
He's mentioned a few.
Please
mention a few.
Please, you mention 5. I'll give all to you.
Even though some of them are still in their construction phase.
Absolutely.
I'll give all to you.
Whether it is completed, mention what you say. At least we can credit your government with how you swindled the people of the north, with the investment that the nation of Ghana gave to the people of the north. Sada, we all realize that even guinea fowls, that we have guinea fowls, a lot more guinea fowls up north. That is their home. Let us commercialize the production of guinea fowls up north. We ended up telling Ghanaians that they have all flew to Burkina Faso and the like. Neighboring countries. Where are the guinea fowls?
That's a legal brain.
Where are the guinea fowls?
Statements.
Where are the guinea fowls?
You land.
No, where are the guinea fowls?
You finish.
Where are the trees? The afforestation that we commission people to go and plant trees up north to improve the vegetation cover of the savannah in that region. And this way under the reign of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is a son of the north.
All right.
At least the people up north knows what even those who are not indigenous have done for them.
Okay.
And
right. We'll move on to the next
Let me just mention a few things John Mahama has done in the North.
Be very quick for me.
Yeah.
We have other issues to talk
Let me just
about.
remark just in a few minutes. First of all, it's surprising that it tells you the level of thinking and intelligence of people who find themselves in the New Patriotic Party. For you to even believe that guinea fowls flew out of this country and went to another country.
No, we told us.
It tells you the level of intelligence
in the conversation, judicial notice. It is everywhere. You don't need. There's no proof. You don't need any proof.
It's everywhere. Okay, so
no, it's everywhere.
In Upper West.
Mr. Enoch, he's trying to justify that in a way. So let's
what are your applications? You are dealing with the NPP to believe that guinea fowls flew from Ghana to another country and you are still peddling this lie
without visas.
You said this lies before.
No, they flew without
2016 election. You are still saying it.
They flew without visas.
See, a legal brain, fine brain like you, to be talking like a pedestrian MPP supporter on the road, and you are sitting on national television, Joy Prime for that matter, and you are making this statement and you are not shy about it. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Mention some of the let me mention some of the things that maybe you.
John Dramani Mahama constructed 160-bed Upper West Regional Hospital. In Upper West, John Dramani Mahama rehabilitation and upgrade of Wa airstrip into Wa Airport. John Mahama constructed the Wild Town Eba Water Project. Construction of 64 chip compounds. There are more. I'm just moving from Upper West to go to the next one. In Upper East, rehabilitation and expansion of Upper East Regional Hospital. The bitumen surfacing of Boga to Bongo Road. Rehabilitation and modernization of Tongo and Via Dam. Construction of Navrongo Boku Town Water System. These are about 70 chip compounds in the Upper East. Expansion infrastructure, St. John Bosco College of Education. Constructed about 500 school blocks in the region. Commenced the construction of 112-kilometer Boga Boku. That's also for the Upper East. You come to the Northern region itself. Establishment of the Gambaga College of Education. Construction of 57-kilometer Wale Wale Nalirigu Road. Over 100 communities connected to the national grid for electricity. Construction of story building dormitory block and 6-unit classroom block at the Bunkuprugu Senior High School. Construction of the Boyani Bridge in West Mampusi Municipality. Bitumen surfacing of Viasi and Yabaga Road. Construction of small town water systems, not Azar dams that are now football playing fields. Construction of 20 chip compounds. There are more.
So all these things were done
under John Dramani Mahama, the son of the soil from the north.
And it was still replaced in the elections?
It was still replaced in the elections because so many things goes into elections. Even 2020 elections and the results and everything, how it came about, we as NDC have our own reservations. But then you see, you don't keep crying over spoiled milk. We have an agenda ahead. 2024 elections is ahead. John Dramani Mahama, a son of the soil of the northern region. You could see clearly projects he did in Upper West, projects he did in Upper East, projects he did in the northern region itself. And then we also see the establishment of SADA. And then what he intended to do with SADA. So when it comes to infrastructure development, John Dramani Mahama is unprecedented when it comes to the northern region. Under their regime, we can see. So we need to channel skill, just like the Speaker of Parliament is saying, let's channel more skill over there. He's satisfied with what John Dramani Mahama did. Right now, he's saying that because he feels that the NPP have neglected the Northern Belt and they are rather channeling most of the projects to Chebi, where they've even constructed ultra-modern first-class roads, even leading to cemeteries and all that. So as Speaker of Parliament coming from the North, he needs to make a voice.
Look at this assumption.
He needs to make his voice heard.
Look at this assumption.
He needs to make his voice heard.
No, look at that.
Some of their projects.
Look at this assumption.
Let's move to the next issue.
Let me give you
that issue.
In Bimbila, the cassava processing and yam processing factory is there, and the one is one.
They were all captured.
The agenda 111 district hospitals and the likes. Roads. In terms of road infrastructure, President Kufuor's government is peerless.
That's second to none. For another time.
In terms of road infrastructure, he mentioned bitumen surfacing. President Kufuor has constructed asphalt overlays. And you are talking about bitumen surfacing.
Okay.
Look at the first ultra-modern interchange in Tamale. The Tamale interchange project.
That's another issue.
Look at this infrastructure.
Okay, so there are two issues that I want us to actually combine and see how best we can deal with it. So the Honorable Minister of Fisheries, maybe Anhwere has stated that as as far as the NPP is concerned, the only candidate they know is Dr. Bawumia. Now, the majority leader in Parliament, Honorable Chairman Bonsu, has also spoken about the fact that he tried at one point in time to speak to the two parties, which is Alan and Bawumia, to actually come together in a way so that if one gets to have the nod, the other becomes the vice president, which of course did not really yield end results. And as we speak now, they both picked up nominations, and it means that we cannot get back to that conversation again. Let's combine these two interrelatedly and see how best we can do it. I'll start from you, Mr. Enoch. This is coming from your own backyard. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries says that as for the NPP, all you know is Bawumia.
Yeah,
the issue of the majority speaker in Parliament also trying to. Do you think it was something that was workable, or it could have helped the party in a way if the two came together and made vice or president?
Thank you so much for this. And let me first state that the comment by the Honorable maybe Afoakwah is a personal comment. It is not entirely the comment or the statement of.
But
government.
over 90% of the NPP have always been about Dr. Bawumia. Even some of your communicators that have come on this show have always gone round, and eventually settled on Dr. Bawumia.
That is the.
It's still their personal opinion. 90%.
As a democratic party, we have democratic means of selecting candidates or selecting leaders to lead our party, and I believe that insofar as we are human, we all have our interest in one way or the other, but at least the collective interest of the larger party and the nation must be paramount to all of us. In as much as we have underscored the democratic tenets and ideals to use that system in selecting candidates, that is the only means that we should go. It is sad that leaders at such levels do make such comments which breeds disunity and destabilize the focus of our party. We have a lot to tell the good people of Ghana. I believe these elections or selection, this presidential elections, presidential candidate elections are internal elections, and the electoral college is defined. We know members who are going to exercise their franchise in selecting these candidates. The focus and this message should be targeted to these people and not to the larger country. What the larger country will want to know is that we account to the people of Ghana the stewardship, what we have been able to do so far for them, the social contract signed between our party and our leader, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the good people of Ghana, what we have been able to achieve so far. By and large, we have a history that in 2007-2008, internal party wranglings of this nature took away the shine. And at the event, in the last resort, we lost an election with less than 23,000 votes. Because what we needed to tell the good people of Ghana, our orientation or our focus was shifted to an internal contest, which became so paramount to us than the entire country, the communication to the entire country as to what we have been able to do for them. Ghana is not interested in our internal party issues. What Ghanaians are interested is that what President Akufo-Addo and his government has been able to do for Ghanaians so far, we should be able to tell them, because not all these areas could see, not all the people in Ghana could see what we have done. Like Tamale Interchange is the people within Tamale Metropolitan, the Tamale Metropolis or the Greater Tamale who are witnesses to what is the edifice that is there. If somebody is in Samra Boy, that person is not privy to the interchange in Tamale.
But bringing a leader that also believes in the ideals and some of these policies that you're speaking about is also very paramount.
No, you see,
eventually who you settle on also matters.
You see,
even if you have campaign message that you want to send out.
KMJ, let me set this phrase strongly for you to know that whoever the NPP settles on as our flag bearer is capable of breaking the 8 and win the 2024 elections, judging from our performance.
Okay.
Because the alternative is scary.
Okay.
Who is this person contesting? Former President John Dramani Mahama. His deeds are all over, that we all can see, we all can hear, we all still remember what he did during his time as president in this country.
So as far as the NPP is concerned, whoever
is elected, and now
whoever, the Doctor or Alan, whoever that is made to
there are 10 people, 10 potential presidents who have picked up nomination forms, and the delegates of our party are going to select one for us because we cannot take all the 10. If by virtue of our constitutional provisions we were supposed to carry 10 aspirants to the elections, then the NPP would have carried all these 10 aspirants to the elections. But because we are projecting only one, our delegates are going to select one for us.
And who have I selected?
I'm pleading. I'm only pleading that the people of Ghana wants to vote for us in 2024. The people of Ghana recognize our efforts and our contribution towards the sustenance and growth and development of our country. We should not divide ourselves with Alan, Baumia, Kennedy Japan, Adenimo, whatsoever. All these material issues, all these important issues, selling our preferred candidates, whoever we think that is capable of leading us, that we feel that in our current dispensation, this person could lead us, let us go before the delegates, tell the delegates, then bringing all this to the public domain, that will seamlessly look as if we are fighting among ourselves.
Okay.
What is disturbing is that...
we have to go.
I'm coming. What is disturbing is that for Madam Afoakwah to say that he's the only one we know, at least it's a bit distasteful. It's like telling the others that they are not members of the New Patriotic Party. But in any event, we have open nominations, and party members who are qualified per their own assessment have picked up nomination forms. Let us leave the process fair and allow the delegates. Nobody is asking that Madam Afoakwah and all those who are making declarations cannot campaign for their preferred candidates. But at least we should go to the delegates and talk to the delegates that based on ABC making certain pronouncements we do not.
She was very emphatic on that. If you looked at her words carefully, you realize that it was very, very straight to the categorically that this is what we have chosen.
Anyway, I keep saying that the MPP presidential primaries, the team for their primaries, for me, Mettle-Nunoo, is a battle to select the incompetent. You have a lot of incompetent people contesting for one super incompetent person to be elected. It's as simple as that. All of them were part of this current government. All of them were part of the people who saw us.
But they were not the ones directly in charge of affairs. They could only make help in policies. They could only make suggestions. There's one person who was the executive.
They are not corrupt.
Taking our national public debt from 120 billion to over almost 600 billion.
We are here.
They're part of the administration that for the first time in the history of Ghana that we've seen pensioners, people that have worked, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, picketing at the Ministry of Finance because all the monies they work for that they have invested in bonds are being slashed, and they've been promised several times and coupons have still not been paid. For the first time, we are seeing things like excavators flying into all parts of this government. Honorable Afoakwah saying that Baumia is the only person they know. Before I even comment on her, I would like to say that she shouldn't end up going to lock the sea again to tell us that she's expecting us to have more fishes. And I've heard one of the MPP bigwigs saying that most of the people following Baumia are following him because of their stomach, and that they should look carefully and they shouldn't follow their stomach and elect the super incompetent person aside him to lead the party. In Ghana, there's a saying, again, in the cardio musu say, it means that what? Don't follow your stomach, else you would regret.
Okay,
all those who are going to follow Baumia, according to the MPB and Afoakwah, they are going to regret. Because Baumia is the head of the economic management team. Baumia took us to over 54% inflation, our public national debt to almost 600 billion. Baumia is the same person who the CD to dollar was left to him about 4.5 and now is about 13. It went to 16, it has come to about 11. When you look at the super incompetence of this man, Baumia is the man that told us that he's going to move from taxation to production. Baumia is the same person that told us that by the end of 2020, every Ghanaian is going to have a bank account. And you just oppose all the 10 super incompetent people contesting the NPP presidential primaries to the one gentleman leaving the NDC, leading the NDC in the
Let me say thank you. Enoch and Mettle.
The one who took.
So this will be our conversation on Newsflash. Our time is up. But let me say thank you to the two of you for coming through. This is going to be our time for Newsflash this morning. You heard Enoch Anhwere, Afoakwah of the NPP. He's a member of the communication team, and you heard Mettle-Nunoo Jr. also from the NDC, part of the national communications team, and they helped us with the conversation this morning. Many thanks to you for also watching.